In the picturesque town of Briarwood, nestled among rolling hills and dense woods, stood an old cottage that had long been the subject of local folklore. Briarwood Cottage, with its ivy-clad walls and Victorian charm, had been abandoned for years, its windows dusty and boarded up. It was a house with a history as dark as its overgrown garden. In the summer of 1997, the Harris family, David, Laura, and their teenage daughter, Emily, moved into the cottage. They were drawn to its quaint exterior and the promise of a peaceful life away from the city. The house was a bargain, and they were eager to restore it to its former glory. From the first night, strange things began to happen. Laura noticed cold spots in various rooms, and Emily complained of hearing footsteps in the attic. David, a contractor, dismissed these occurrences as the quirks of an old house, but Laura couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. One evening, Laura decided to explore the attic, hoping to find clues about the house's past. Among the cobweb-covered trunks and dusty furniture, she found an old, leather-bound journal hidden beneath a loose floorboard. The journal belonged to a woman named Eleanor Briar, the original owner of the cottage. The journal detailed Eleanor's life in the early 1900s. She had been a young bride, married to a man named Charles, who had mysteriously vanished shortly after their wedding. Eleanor's entries grew increasingly desperate as she searched for Charles, writing about the eerie noises she heard in the house and the feeling of being watched. Laura was disturbed by the journal's final entry, which described Eleanor's growing fear of a presence in the house that seemed to mimic the sounds of Charles's footsteps. Eleanor's last entry ended abruptly with a frantic scrawl. "They are here. They won't let me leave." That night, as Laura read the journal aloud to David and Emily, the temperature in the house dropped sharply. The old grandfather clock in the hallway began to chime, though it hadn't worked in years. Each chime seemed to echo louder, and the sound of footsteps could be heard moving across the floor above them. Emily, terrified, ran to her parents and begged them to investigate. They climbed to the attic, where they found the old trunk that Laura had discovered earlier now standing open. Inside, they found old photographs of Eleanor and Charles, and one particularly chilling photo of a man with hollow eyes and a sad expression. As the days passed, the disturbances grew more intense. David would hear knocking sounds from inside the walls, and Laura felt an oppressive weight in the house, as if it were holding its breath. Emily was plagued by nightmares of a shadowy figure calling her name. Determined to put an end to the haunting, the Harris family reached out to a local historian who specialized in the town's folklore. The historian revealed that Charles Briar had died in a tragic accident just after the wedding, but rumors suggested that his spirit had been trapped in the house due to Eleanor's desperate attempts to contact him. The story went that Eleanor had been driven mad by the haunting, unable to leave or find peace, and her spirit had become part of the cottage's dark history. To help the restless spirits, the historian suggested performing a cleansing ritual. The Harris family followed the instructions carefully. They gathered in the attic, placing candles around the room and reading excerpts from Eleanor's journal aloud. They spoke to the spirits, acknowledging their pain and offering forgiveness and peace. That night, the house was eerily quiet. The cold spots disappeared, and the oppressive feeling lifted. Emily's nightmares ceased, and the footsteps in the attic were no longer heard. The Harris family felt a newfound sense of calm and closure. Briarwood Cottage, once a place of fear and sorrow, became a beloved home for the Harris family. They cherished the house's history and continued to care for it with respect, ensuring that the spirits of Eleanor and Charles were remembered and honored. Don't forget to subscribe and like if you like this story. With the disturbances in Briarwood Cottage now a thing of the past, the Harris family settled into their new life. The house, once shrouded in mystery and fear, had become a place of comfort and joy. The cottage's charm was gradually restored, and the Harris family enjoyed a peaceful existence, though they never completely forgot the strange events that had transpired. Months passed, and as autumn approached, the Harris family decided to host a neighborhood gathering. They had become friendly with their new neighbors and thought it would be a good way to celebrate their new beginning. The event was a success, with warm conversations and laughter filling the air. One evening, just before Halloween, the Harris family decided to venture into the nearby woods, which were rumored to be haunted as well. They had heard local legends of strange lights and ghostly figures wandering through the trees, and they wanted to see if there was any truth to these tales. As they walked through the forest, Emily, who had always been fascinated by the supernatural, carried a small flashlight and a camera. The dense woods were quiet except for the crunching leaves beneath their feet. They reached a clearing where an old, crumbling stone well stood, partially hidden by underbrush. Curious, Emily approached the well and peered inside, but the darkness below offered no clues. The family took a few photos, capturing the eerie stillness of the forest. As they made their way back to the cottage, Emily couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched. She chalked it up to her imagination, stirred by the ghost stories she had read. That night, after the family had retired to bed, Emily couldn't sleep. She was restless and decided to review the photos she had taken. As she scanned through the images, she was startled to see something unusual in one of the pictures taken at the well. In the background, a faint, glowing figure seemed to hover near the edge of the well. Emily showed the photo to her parents, who were intrigued but skeptical. They decided to return to the well the next day to investigate further. When they arrived, they noticed a strange energy around the old stone structure. The air was unusually still, and the temperatures seemed to drop. Laura suggested they conduct a brief investigation, much like they had done months earlier. They set up their camera and recording equipment, hoping to capture any unusual activity. As they did, Emily felt a sudden chill and heard a soft, mournful whisper. She quickly recorded the sound on her phone. Later that evening, as the family reviewed the recordings, they heard the whisper clearly, "Help us." It was followed by a faint, echoing voice that seemed to call out, "Charles? Eleanor?" The Harris family, concerned that they might have awakened another restless spirit, reached out to the historian who had helped them before. The historian agreed to visit the cottage and the well to offer insight. Upon arrival, the historian examined the well and the surrounding area. He revealed that the well had been part of an old homestead that predates the Briarwood Cottage. According to local legend, a tragic event had occurred there involving a family who had suffered a great loss. The historian explained that the spirits they were encountering might be connected to the old well, possibly a residual haunt from a different era. He advised the Harris family to perform another cleansing ritual, but this time, he suggested including a symbolic gesture of release, such as lighting lanterns and sending them out to the well as a tribute. The Harris family followed the historian's advice. They gathered once more at the well, lighting lanterns and placing them around the well's edge. They spoke softly to the spirits, acknowledging their presence and offering a gesture of peace and release. As they watched the lanterns float away, the air seemed to lighten, and a sense of calm enveloped the area. The Harris family returned to their cottage with a feeling of closure, hopeful that they had finally set the spirits at rest. In the following weeks, the cottage continued to be a place of joy and tranquility. The Harris family felt a renewed sense of connection to their home and its history. They embraced the old stories and legends, understanding that Briarwood Cottage was a place where past and present intertwined in unexpected ways. The Harris family lived happily in Briarwood Cottage for many years, always remembering the lessons they had learned and the spirits they had encountered. They knew that their home was a living tapestry of stories and experiences, woven together by the echoes of the past and the warmth of the present. The Harris family enjoyed a peaceful existence in Briarwood Cottage for several years after their second encounter with the supernatural. Life seemed to have returned to normal, and the house, now fully restored, was a haven of comfort and contentment. However, as autumn rolled around once more, the tranquility was about to be disrupted. It all began with Lily, the Harris's youngest daughter, who had taken an interest in gardening. She spent her afternoons tending to the garden, planting new flowers and herbs, and carefully pruning the old bushes that bordered the property. One crisp October afternoon, as she was digging near the edge of the garden, she uncovered something unusual, a small, rusted box buried in the soil. Excited by her find, Lily carried the box inside to show her family. The box was old, with intricate metalwork and a heavy, brass lock that had long since corroded. David managed to pry it open, revealing a collection of old letters and a small, faded photograph of a young couple. The handwriting on the letters was elegant but difficult to decipher, written in a flowing script that spoke of love and longing. Laura, intrigued, began translating the letters. They were from a woman named Margaret to her fiancé, Henry. The letters told a story of a forbidden romance and a planned elopement that was thwarted by an unforeseen tragedy. Margaret's letters grew increasingly desperate as she wrote about Henry's disappearance and her own growing despair. The final letter, dated just before their planned escape, was filled with sorrow and uncertainty. The last line read, "If you find this, know that I waited for you until the end." The photograph in the box depicted Margaret and Henry standing together, their faces filled with hope and affection. Laura's curiosity was piqued. She decided to investigate the origins of Margaret and Henry's story further. Her research revealed that Margaret and Henry had been star-crossed lovers from the early 1900s, but their love had been forbidden due to social class differences. According to local history, Henry had vanished under mysterious circumstances, and Margaret had been left heartbroken. Feeling a sense of responsibility to honor their story, Laura and David decided to follow the clues in the letters. They visited the local archives and discovered that Henry had been the son of a wealthy landowner, and Margaret had been a servant in the household. The archive records mentioned an old, abandoned estate that had once belonged to Henry's family, located a few miles from Briarwood Cottage. One foggy morning, the Harris family visited the old estate. The property was overgrown and neglected, with ivy creeping up the crumbling walls. They explored the grounds, hoping to find any connection to the letters. As they wandered through the overgrown garden, Emily noticed a small, sunken area near the estate's garden. It seemed similar to where Lily had found the box. With a sense of unease and anticipation, they began digging in the area. Their efforts revealed a hidden compartment, this time a small, ornate casket. Inside, they found more letters, along with a locket containing a picture of Margaret and Henry together. The letters confirmed the tragic end of their story. Henry had been murdered by someone who disapproved of their relationship, and Margaret had been left alone, her heartbroken spirit said to have lingered at the estate. Returning to Briarwood Cottage, the Harris family decided to perform a final tribute for Margaret and Henry. They held a small ceremony in their garden, lighting candles and placing flowers around the locket and letters they had found. They spoke of the love and sorrow that had bound the couple and offered their respect and acknowledgement of their story. That night, as they gathered around the kitchen table, the air seemed lighter, and the oppressive feeling that had once been present was gone. Emily, who had been most affected by the earlier disturbances, felt a profound sense of peace. It seemed that Margaret and Henry's spirits had finally found the closure they had longed for. The Harris family continued to live in Briarwood Cottage, their lives enriched by the history and stories of those who had come before them. The garden flourished, and the house felt more like a true home, free from the shadows of the past. They had embraced the legacy of the cottage and its tales, ensuring that the spirits of Briarwood would be remembered with honor and respect. As the years went by, the story of Briarwood Cottage became a cherished part of the town's history, a reminder of the enduring power of love and the importance of remembering those who had shaped the places we call home. Don't forget to subscribe and like if you like this story. The Harris family enjoyed a peaceful existence in Briarwood Cottage for several years, their lives enriched by the stories and experiences that had come before. The cottage, now a place of warmth and joy, had been restored to its former beauty. The garden thrived, and the family often hosted gatherings, sharing their home with friends and neighbors. But as the years went on, the past seemed to stir once more. It was a brisk autumn evening when Emily, now in her early 20s and studying history at university, decided to return to Briarwood Cottage for the weekend. She brought with her a collection of old documents and family heirlooms she had been researching for a history project. She was particularly interested in the cottage's history and wanted to ensure that all the stories she had uncovered were preserved accurately. As Emily explored the attic, she found a dusty trunk she hadn't noticed before. Inside, she discovered a collection of old journals and letters that appeared to be related to the earlier occupants of the cottage. Among them was a journal written by a man named Samuel Hawthorne, a relative of Thomas Hawthorne, the original owner. Samuel's journal described a series of events that took place after the Harris family's first encounter with the supernatural. It detailed strange occurrences that had plagued the Hawthorne family, including unexplained noises, shadowy figures, and a sense of foreboding that had driven them to leave the cottage. One entry caught Emily's attention. It described a hidden room behind the library's bookshelves, which had been discovered by Samuel during renovations. The journal hinted at an old family secret connected to this room. Emily's curiosity was piqued. She decided to investigate. The next morning, Emily, accompanied by her parents, carefully examined the library. They searched for the hidden room described in the journal, and after some effort, they managed to find a concealed latch behind the bookshelves. With a sense of excitement and trepidation, they opened the hidden door, revealing a small, dusty room lined with shelves of old books and artifacts. In the center of the room was a large, ornate box. Inside, they found more letters, along with a set of keys and a map of the property. The letters were from Samuel to his wife, describing his growing fear of a hidden presence in the house. The map showed a series of tunnels and hidden passages beneath the cottage, which had been used during the Prohibition era for secret meetings. As Emily and her parents explored the tunnels, they discovered that the passages led to an old, underground chamber. The chamber contained remnants of a secret society that had operated in the area, including symbols, artifacts, and a diary detailing their activities. It appeared that the society had been involved in illegal activities and had used the cottage's hidden passages to avoid detection. Among the artifacts, they found a mysterious, locked box. The keys they had found matched the box, and when they unlocked it, they discovered a collection of documents and a photograph of a man who resembled Charles Briar, the tragic figure from the earlier story. The diary revealed that the secret society had been involved in a cover-up surrounding Charles's disappearance. It seemed that Charles had discovered their illegal activities and had been silenced to protect their secrets. The members of the society had been tormented by guilt, and their actions had likely contributed to the restless spirits that had haunted Briarwood Cottage. Realizing the gravity of their discovery, Emily and her family decided to perform another ritual to lay the spirits to rest. They gathered in the underground chamber, reading excerpts from the diaries and letters, and offering a solemn tribute to the spirits affected by the society's actions. As they concluded the ceremony, the atmosphere in the cottage felt lighter. The oppressive presence that had lingered seemed to dissipate, and a profound sense of peace enveloped the house. The Harris family had uncovered a crucial part of the cottage's history and had finally set right the wrongs of the past. With the mystery resolved and the spirits at peace, Briarwood Cottage returned to its role as a cherished home. The Harris family continued to live there, embracing the rich history of their home and ensuring that the stories of those who had come before were remembered with respect and care. The cottage stood as a testament to the enduring power of history and the importance of uncovering the truths that shape our lives. And as the years passed, the echoes of the past grew faint, replaced by the laughter and warmth of the Harris family, who had found their own place in the ever-unfolding story of Briarwood Cottage. With the hidden passages and the secret society's activities finally uncovered and laid to rest, the Harris family thought they had resolved all the mysteries surrounding Briarwood Cottage. Life returned to its peaceful routine, and the cottage was once again a sanctuary of warmth and happiness. However, just as the family was beginning to relax into their renewed tranquility, an unexpected event threatened to unravel everything they had worked so hard to achieve. It began one chilly December evening when Emily, now a young historian with a growing reputation, received an anonymous letter in the mail. The letter was written in elegant, old-fashioned script and was postmarked from a town far away. Asterisk, you have uncovered much of the past, but there is one truth yet to be revealed. The true power of Briarwood Cottage lies in what you have not yet found. Seek the heart of the house, and you shall understand. Perplexed, Emily shared the letter with her parents. They puzzled over the message and decided to re-examine the house, particularly focusing on areas they had previously overlooked. Emily recalled that Samuel Hawthorne's journal had mentioned a heart in the house, but it had been dismissed as a metaphor. Now, it seemed there might be something more literal. On a snowy afternoon, the Harris family began their search, starting with the library and the hidden room. They inspected every nook and cranny but found nothing unusual. As a last resort, they turned their attention to the attic, where they had previously discovered the trunk and the hidden room. In the attic, Emily noticed an old, ornate clock mounted on the wall. It had always seemed out of place. Remembering Samuel Hawthorne's description of the heart, she wondered if the clock might be a key to solving the mystery. She carefully removed it from the wall and found a small lever hidden behind it. With a mix of anticipation and trepidation, Emily and her family pulled the lever. A section of the wall slid open, revealing a narrow staircase leading downward. The staircase ended in a small, dimly lit chamber. Inside, they found a single, grand oak chest in the center of the room. The chest was adorned with intricate carvings of vines and flowers, and the family could feel a palpable sense of significance emanating from it. With a deep breath, Emily opened the chest. Inside, they discovered a collection of ancient, leather-bound books, old family records, and a large, ornate key. At the bottom of the chest was a final, hidden compartment. Inside it lay a beautifully crafted amulet, its design matching the symbols found in the secret society's artifacts. The amulet seemed to pulse with a subtle energy. As Emily held the amulet, a series of ghostly figures began to materialize around them. These were not the troubled spirits of the past, but serene and dignified presences. They introduced themselves as the original founders of the Briarwood estate, protectors of its legacy. Their mission had been to safeguard the amulet, which was believed to hold the power to bind and balance the energies within the house. The spirits explained that the amulet was intended to protect the home from dark influences and to ensure that those who lived there would be stewards of its history. The secret society's actions had disrupted this balance, causing unrest among the spirits. Emily and her family were entrusted with the amulet, along with the responsibility to protect and honor Briarwood Cottage's legacy. The spirits thanked them for their dedication and for uncovering the truth. As they faded away, they left behind a sense of calm and a promise that the house would continue to be a place of peace and harmony. With the amulet securely placed in a special display in the library, the Harris family continued to live in Briarwood Cottage, now fully aware of their role as guardians of its legacy. The house, once again in perfect balance, stood as a testament to the enduring power of history, respect, and love. The final chapter in Briarwood Cottage's story had been written, and with it, the echoes of the past were transformed into a legacy of hope and harmony for the future. Don't forget to subscribe and like if you like this story.